How many times have we told you that the crazy plans of Donald Trump and Elon Musk are all about causing discord, causing drama, as well as nothing but destruction, and they don't care who they impact? Well, guess what? One of the biggest issues is that how they are firing people left and right, impacting families as well. And so what you see is them firing a massive number of federal workers, making no effort to actually study what they do and what they accomplish. This weekend, 20 immigration judges were fired with no explanation. Folks, already there's a backlog of more than 3.7 million cases in our immigration courts, and it already takes years for people to have their cases heard. So instead of adding judges, these idiots just went ahead and fired them. Joining us now, one of those immigration judges, Kerry Doyle. She joins us now. Glad to have you on the show, Kerry. So first of all, explain what happened here. Did you get an email? Did you get a phone call? Was it one of those two-line sentences that said, okay, you're gone, that's it, don't come in?
Hi, Roland. Happy to be with you. I received an email on late Friday afternoon, about 3:50. I was observing court as part of my training. The judge was finishing up their decision, and I had my laptop open and following the case and got an email with an attachment, and I saw the title of the attachment was terminated. So it actually was 2 paragraphs, but there was really no explanation other than them saying, the acting director saying it was no longer in the interest of the agency that I continue with my employment.
Okay, that's actually confusing considering that they're talking about people should come in the country the right way. You're an immigration judge. For people who don't understand what you do, explain what an immigration judge does.
Sure. And you're absolutely right, and we'll get to that. But an immigration judge hears cases for any immigrant that's applying for relief. And what that often means is filing for asylum, which is for people who would be protected, who would be persecuted or severely harmed if they were sent to their home country. People also file for green cards, permanent resident status in front of an immigration judge. And we also have the authority to terminate a case if immigration has put someone in front of an immigration judge improperly. A judge will make the finding either to grant the person's application so they can stay in the country or order them removed.
All right. And for those who don't understand, this has been the long-standing practice. This is the policy in terms of how people legally file to come into the United States.
Well, absolutely. Once you're here, if you have a claim to stay, often that's adjudicated by an immigration judge, particularly if you've been stopped by immigration at some point. They will usually write up some paperwork and have you see an immigration judge. And to your point, there's currently 3.7 million cases pending before the national immigration courts, with this administration focusing on the arrest and removal of everybody that they can find. Those numbers will only increase. Additionally, the communities that were paroled in, including a large Haitian community, Venezuelans, Cubans, and Nicaraguans, they're ending their parole. They'll end up in immigration removal proceedings in front of an immigration judge also to have their asylum cases heard, as well as anyone who has temporary protected status that's being terminated as well. So these numbers will just grow. And as you point out, the hypocrisy of then firing some of the newest immigration judges really makes no sense, and I have really no rational or logical explanation for what happened.
How many immigration judges are there in the United States?
There are about 700 immigration judges nationwide. Each judge hears between 500 and 700 cases a year. So the 13 immigration judges of the new group, the new class that was coming in, of which I was a member, would have heard between 8,000 and 9,000 cases this year alone. If our training program, which got canceled early on in late in January, if that had gone forward, we would have been had our formal ceremony of being sworn in. We get sworn in on day 1 and start the training, but we would have had the formal pomp and circumstance on Friday the 14th. We would have started hearing cases late this week, most likely. But instead, we all got termination notices on that Friday instead.
And walk us through in terms of what the application is, because this is not like the political appointees where a president gets to pick their federal judges. They're confirmed by the United States Senate. That obviously, whether they want to say it's not, it's actually a very political process. So how does one become an immigration judge? Do you apply? Are you recommended by a member of Congress? How does that happen?
Right, absolutely. That's a great question. It's a civil service hiring. So with everyone in the federal government, it's a neutral application process. You're hired as an employee of the Department of Justice and the immigration courts. It's completely neutral. You have panels of interviewers that interview you. They're not allowed to ask, nor did they ask any questions about your political affiliations. Going through, you need to have at least 7 years of experience as an attorney. Some folks come in with extensive immigration experience. I've had 30 years of experience in immigration, both representing individuals in the nonprofit and private setting, as well as working for the federal government for the Department of Homeland Security. So I have really unique perspective coming in, but we also had some veterans that were in our group and some folks from different backgrounds. So again, it's a neutral application process, and we're hired the same as the any other federal employee through a neutral system. And in fact, they are not allowed to ask about your political affiliations or questions in that regard.
So they're not allowed to ask for that. What were you doing before you wanted to become an immigration judge?
So I was the principal prosecutor for Immigration Customs Enforcement. I was the general counsel, also called the principal legal advisor. So I oversaw 1,500 prosecutors and attorneys out in the field who prosecute the immigration cases. And we also have attorneys in headquarters. And then I also served as a deputy general counsel in the Department of Homeland Security. So I worked on a number of the regulations and the border bill, for example. There was a bipartisan border bill that was proposed and accepted about a year ago that this incoming president then blew up that agreement, and the bill never became law. That would have put a lot of resources into the border, into the immigration courts, and fixed some of the serious problems that exist in our broken immigration system.
So again, this is speculation or what you've heard. I mean, do you believe that what the desire here is to appoint hardcore MAGA judges?
Honestly, I don't know what the goal is here. I think your guess is as good as mine. I would like to know. There's been very little information shared. As I explained, I mean, our group, the cohort of judges that were coming in, were quite mixed. A number of them were immigration prosecutors, which in the past, when administrations have wanted to focus on being tough on immigrants or being a little more strict, those would be the hires that they would focus on. And so there's been a desire to have a broader group of people coming in. But nonetheless, a good number are immigration prosecutors who the office I used to head, but they have extensive immigration experience, which is quite helpful. And then we had people that had come from other backgrounds, and I had both in my background, so both being a prosecutor and being a defense attorney, if you will.
It's just baffling, and I think that the problem here is that in your case and so many others, they're just firing folks and they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, they literally fired 300 workers who are responsible for overseeing our nuclear system, and then it was like, oh crap, we kind of like need to call them back. It's happened in other agencies. That tells you right there, there's no rhyme or reason. It's literally, oh, you know what? They got to go. I mean, there's no thought going to any of this.
No, it makes, right. It just, baffling is the perfect word. It makes absolutely no sense. Again, with an administration that has a focus on immigration removal, you need the immigration judges to issue the removal orders. Those are the orders that are then carried out when the person is removed from the country. And the system is already overloaded with the 3.7 million cases. This group of 13 judges would have heard between 8,000 and 9,000 cases this year, which will not be heard and have to be spread around the existing immigration judges. It just really makes absolutely no sense. And I just can't imagine what the thought process is if they continue. I just hope I'm only the last and not the first of the group that will be fired, because if they start firing more judges and the probationary judges, the court I was in will collapse. There will only be one, maybe two judges left there. And it was stood up to take the backlog off the Boston Immigration Court, which was one of the largest backlogs in the country. And they're just struggling and they need the help. And meanwhile, the Department of Justice is asking for more money to hire more judges. So
I'm sorry.
Figure that one out.
Sorry, Trump's DOJ is asking for more money to fire more judges, and they just fired some judges.
Yes, in their budget, they're asking for more money for judges. Yes.
Absolutely baffling. You obviously had left your previous job, so right now you're out of a job.
I am unemployed, and I have a child in college with a very big bill. So I need to fill out my unemployment paperwork. I haven't had time, and then figure out what comes next for me. It's certainly a very unsettling place to be. Some of my colleagues that were in the same class had moved to other cities. One of the veterans had the moving van outside with boxes being loaded when he got that email. A number of them are in states where they don't have their bar licenses, because as immigration lawyer or immigration judge, you just need to be licensed because you're doing federal law. So the options for them to even get new employment are pretty limited. People really change their lives for these kind of jobs. They want to serve the public. They want to serve the nation. To work and have a mission and to feel like you're giving back is an amazing opportunity. I love working in the government, and I would have really cherished this opportunity. And again, number of veterans, people coming from different backgrounds, and this is just heartbreaking, honestly, and baffling, as you said.
No, and I keep making that point that by them doing this indiscriminately, it's impacting individuals. It may lead to people actually being evicted, losing homes. They've got children in college. They've got uncertainty there. It's going to cause individuals to potentially have to apply for SNAP benefits or other government benefits because of this sudden termination. And then they're trying to cut that as well. And so there are real world consequences to this willy-nilly, just whack people, who cares who they are, and then let's go out and just scream, hey, we're saving you billions of dollars a day, when they actually aren't.
Absolutely not. Imagine how much money it costs to hire us. I interviewed in October 2023. You have resume review, 2 interviews with panels of people, of judges, other judges. You do a background check, you do a drug test, you get biometrics taken. It's a process, and it costs a lot of money to hire people. And now we've been fired, and even if they replace us, it's going to cost a lot of money and take a lot of time to bring more people on board. And there's real world consequences, both for the employees that have been fired, but also for the people that are appearing in immigration court. They will have, as we discussed earlier, they're going to have to wait even longer to have their cases heard. And some of them need to have decisions in their case because they may have family overseas that they need to get to safety here. And they're just having to wait longer and longer because of this confusion and misguided decisions that are being made.
Unbelievable. So unfortunately, sorry to hear that you've had to endure this, and so many others. And hopefully people in this country will realize the destructive path that we're seeing take place as a result of these just ridiculous decisions by people who are grossly unqualified to even do these jobs. We appreciate it.
I hope so. Very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, folks.
Good evening.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $6.65 a share. Go to startengine.com/Fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.